In the world, all working people do their fair shares in order to provide themselves and maybe their families' necessities for life. But it's difficult when they don't receive as much as what they deserve. The working class is a hard working class and they just want to get through the month. Those working at minimum wage are not getting it. The minimum wage should at least be raised to $9 an hour. The world is processing and the price is rising. Yet we're stuck with outstanding regulations that allow employees to receive checks that don't cover their bills and dinners. We'll go over what we can do by first identifying the problem, what caused the problem, and the benefit of simply raising the minimum wage. Minimum wage right now is not giving people a standard way of living. In the article, Rise the Minimum Wage from Los Angeles Times on September 13, 2013 states that full-time minimum wage workers with one dependent barely make enough today to sit above the federal poverty line of full-time positions. But not everyone is lucky to have full-time jobs today. Having both part-time job and minimum wage reflects to low poverty families. A single mother of 5 children who goes by the name Judah Bravo has two part-time jobs. Both of the jobs pay her minimum wage, that is $8.25 an hour. Aside the fact that she does not have to pay for her child care fees, she still struggles. Sometimes she goes a whole week without lights in her house, maybe even water or gas. Even with those two jobs, she still tends to struggle.
Now that we have discussed the problem, we will now move to the cause, or who to blame. The United States Department of Labor is in charge of the minimum wage regulations. The U.S. Department of Labor is responsible for many people not receiving enough income for people to buy a house, can't buy a decent car, can't buy sufficient food, and don't have enough money to spend on themselves. All the money minimum wage workers earn is used for the rent, certain food, gas, or public transportation, and bills. For example, the Department of Labor raised the minimum wage in San Francisco. San Francisco is one of the most well-known cities in the United States. According to the County of San Francisco, on January 1st, 2014, San Francisco's minimum wage was increased to $10.74 an hour. However, the minimum wage in Los Angeles is $8 and is also one of the biggest and most well-known cities in the United States. Why does our city have such a low minimum wage when we live in one of the most populated cities in the United States? According to Living Wage, the calculation to live in Los Angeles is $11.37. We are not getting paid that extra $3.37 and sometimes have to work two jobs in order to be able to pay their rent. Many people struggle to live better in the county of Los Angeles because the U.S. Department of Labor doesn't do anything to help the people of Los Angeles.
Now that we have talked about the blame, we will talk about the solution. On May 5th, 2014, President Barack Obama held a speech in New Britain, Connecticut, and he said, when I talk about minimum wage, he's saying not only is it good policy, but the majority of the country, including half of the Republicans, agree with it. The benefits that the policy includes are that it's good for families, it covers the economy, and protects workers from abuse. San Jose is a city that has seen success. They have raised minimum wage by $3 and have witnessed that the unemployment rate has been reduced. They have seen business has grown and the economy got better. In the article, minimum wage increase would have mixed effect. By Annie Lowry on the New York Times states that the raising minimum wage was a lift of 900,000 families out of poverty and increased incomes of 16.5 million low wage workers in an average week. Raising minimum wage is good for families because not only will they see more income, but they have the opportunity for families to grow and won't live on a tight budget. They will also be able to dedicate themselves to the community life. Another benefit of raising minimum wage will be that it protects the undocumented from tough labor and long hours and just seasonal. Lastly, raising minimum wage is good for the economic recovery. The reason why the raise will be good is because the spending power lies on the hands of those who spend money, which are those people who in the working class, and the wealthy tend to invest money in financial products. As you can see, it doesn't take a genius to recognize the fact that there's action that needs to be made. People who work at the current minimum wage are not getting the money that they're working for and not complaining. Instead, they're working 2 jobs and more in order to live better. Minimum wage workers are only using the money they earn for their basic needs in order to survive because that's what they can afford. From anybody with personal experience, we understand that we don't work part-time jobs because we feel like it. We usually have little to no options because we need food on our tables and a roof over our heads. We also don't have the time or energy to speak up for our small paycheck. Not to mention, it probably costs us our job. It's time that we realize that in order for our society and economy to grow, our wages must increase.